Hello and welcome to another episode of the Same Old Arsenal. Happy New Year to you all. I hope you all had a great night last night and enjoyed your Christmas and your festive period. I hope you're all not too hungover. If you feel like me, then you'll be all right because I am fresh as a daisy because I was sober last night. We'll crack on. We're going to do another Pots preview with Arsenal versus Man United, which is actually tonight at 8 o'clock. I don't know who sorts these fixtures out, but there we go. That's another story. Joining me today is my colleague from Same Old Arsenal, Mr. Lee Judges. Lee, how are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm good, thank you very much. Recovered from last night and the Chelsea defeat and ready to go for tonight. Ready to go.
Have a good Christmas and New Year, mate.
Yeah, very good, really good. Had a good Christmas. Bit hectic, had loads of people around and that, but yeah, very good. Like went so quick though, didn't it? Unbelievably went so quick. I can't believe where it's all gone.
It really is crazy, mate. It really is crazy. It always goes too quick. Joining me from out back in Australia is a good friend of mine. Mr. Max. Max, how are you, buddy?
Mate, I'm all right. If I don't die in the next 24 hours from bushfires in outback Australia, then I'll be all right. But no, seriously, it's like I'm waiting for a notification on my phone saying, get the fuck out of here. You're going to burn alive.
Mate, you look like you're in a sauna. What's going on?
Mate, I'm in absolutely nowhere up in the high country in Australia. Someone's bright idea of a holiday and we're just surrounded by horrific fires at the moment. But you know what? Australia is much like Arsenal at the moment. It's burning to the ground because at first we must destroy so that we can regrow.
Mate, that's a good way of looking at it, I suppose.
Very good.
Mate. Very good way. And joining me from the opposition fan, a Man United fan, a good friend of mine from Colchester in Essex, is Mr. Josh Levitt. Josh, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Pots. Happy New Year, mate.
Man, to you, buddy. You're still dressing in rags, I see, mate. Boys, let's bring you all in because we have got a lot to get through. Lee, we'll start with you, man. We're going to start with Arsenal and crack on. There's been a couple of games, Mikel Arteta. What have you made of it so far, Mikel Arteta's start at Arsenal?
I think it's been positive. I've liked the way he spoke about things. I wasn't that impressed with the Bournemouth one because I thought Bournemouth were very, very poor. But there were signs against Chelsea. The only thing that did worry me was that Frank Lampard changed it very, very early and Mikel Arteta didn't react. But in saying that, in his defence, I think that it'd be a little bit better today because I felt that we didn't have a Ceballos or we didn't have more importantly, a Martinelli in the squad. And I felt that when Chelsea really pushed on us, we didn't have someone, you know, to hit them on the break, counter-attack them, so they could squeeze right up on us. But I feel we've got that tonight. If things are not going quite so well, we've got a couple of options on the bench will be a little bit better than what we've had in the last couple of games. I can't believe the injuries again, you know, to get another player out with a cruciate leg ligament, that's 3 in a year, you know, to all to defenders. You know, I've never known any other club to have that their whole career. Since I've been watching football, we've had 3 defenders in a year. And
proper bad injuries as well. Proper bad injuries. Yeah.
And a massive,
ACL
massive
City.
blow. Massive blow to Callum Chambers. And you can see with the other 2 guys that they're still not even back yet because they're going to continue to get little niggles and injuries and all that. So I think we've got to invest in this January window. It'd be very interesting, this January window, because over in the past they've turned around and said, "Oh, we can't really do anything in January because it's very, very hard to improve the squad." Well, you know, the squad needs improving. It's there to see. It's the worst team I've seen for a very, very long while. So it needs improving, and I think with Mikel Arteta, I think that there have been signs that they've, you know, I'm going to the game today a lot more positive than I did 2 weeks ago. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, mate, I have to agree with you, to be fair. Max, I've got to come to you about the Arteta reign so far. He's only had a couple of games. What positives have you seen from Mikel Arteta the last couple?
Mate, absolutely loads. It's all about reactions for me. I upset a couple of people on the Ars Pros Rankcast, mainly my main mate, Manny Riz, when I said that I'd developed more respect for Granit Xhaka in his last 2 Arsenal performances than I had in his last 50, because he had 1 foot out the door and both.
So that fire's got to him.
Mate, are you dead, Max? Are you dead?
Game for a long time. Aubameyang track it back. Torreira putting a foot in. I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles' best couple of games at right back.
Definitely.
Callum Chambers playing well. Saka responding really, really well. Martinelli responding really, really well. Mate, there is a feeling that the time...
He's losing his signal, and he bless him. He's losing his signal. Max, we're gonna come back to you, mate, and hopefully that bushfire has not got to you, mate. Are you back? Are you back, Max? He's lost. He's lost. We'll come back to it. Josh, we'll move on to you, mate, because we're obviously going to be playing you later on. Man United, talk to me. Life under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. How is things?
Yeah, it's a bit of mixed emotions, really. It's been an odd season. Done well against some of the big teams and just not getting the results against the lower teams, and that just sums up our season so far.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, listen, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when he took over, everybody kind of thought, wow, this is just what Man United needed, was a massive positive kind of confidence boost. You just really got hold of the players there. And I think we were kind of hoping the same would happen with Freddie and Mikel Arteta. And I think that's exactly what we are kind of starting to see with some individual players. But since then, it's been a bit inconsistent for you boys. I never really know what Man United's going to turn up. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's it, mate. Some of the games, we'll play really well, but we just can't get the goals and we can't see off the games. And other days we just don't turn up and we don't play our football. We don't look like we actually know what we're doing with some of the players. So it is a frustrating season. But like as I said, some of the big teams, like the City game, the Chelsea game, if we turn it on, we can play some really good football under Solskjaer and we can get results. But it's on the day whether we can do that.
Mate, you're the only team to take anything off of Liverpool this season, so that must be a bonus for you boys.
Yeah, we didn't get the win, but I'll take the draw against them.
Fair one, mate. What do you make of Arsenal at the moment? Because obviously, as a Man United fan, you must be like kind of laughing inside. But what do you make of it? Because it must be hard for you guys to laugh because you ain't doing that amazingly well yourself. But what do you think's going on at Arsenal?
Do you know what, mate? We're going through sort of a similar thing at the minute. We've both gone through the Fergie and the Wenger years, the better years. The last sort of 6-7 years, both teams really sort of struggled to keep up with the likes of Chelsea, City, and now Liverpool. I think it's just finding the right manager and then getting the right players in. I think both teams have bought kind of like the wrong players in, or not quite found the sort of players that are going to click together. Whereas you look at Klopp, what he's done at Liverpool in sort of the last couple of years, he's got the right players in. He's playing the right football. And I think that's just what United and Arsenal both need to do.
Yeah, man, I've always said we should be looking at what Klopp's done at Liverpool because I think he's genius at work, if I'm honest with you. Max, you're back, mate. Are you with us? Did the fire get you
back,
or what?
Mate. Yeah, mate. I'm nearly dead. Half an hour you and I talking before the show with no dropouts. The second you ask me a question, it all goes to shit.
That's exactly what happens, mate. It's always the way on live TV. Mate, Man United, who's gonna cause us issues, Max? Who's gonna cause us issues tonight?
I think we'll cause ourselves issues. Honestly, I'm not even bothered about looking at other teams at the moment because I don't think that anything to do with what Arsenal is failing at the moment has anything to do with what anyone else has. It's about how well we defend, how well we connect defense to midfield, how well we connect midfield to attack, and whether we've got enough personnel to actually get us on the pitch in a cohesive manner and moving forward. It's really simple for me. Arsenal at the moment is all about Arsenal. We have our own destiny in our own hands. Every time we go out on the pitch, I don't care. We've seen this year, I don't care whether we're playing Norwich, Southampton, Man U or City. For me, it's all the same. It's all about what we do. It's all about our attitude, whether we go and put a foot in, make our blocks, stay compact, get our spacing right and do what the manager needs us to do. The performance is all there for us.
Yeah, man, I think that's a great shout. Lee, it is a struggle for us at the moment. We're going to be really scraping the barrel at the back defensively. American and Rashford, James and Martial must be rubbing their hands together, mustn't they, looking at our back line?
Well, Happy New Year, isn't it? So we've been scraping the barrel for a long time at the back, to be honest, you know what I mean? So we're going to have, obviously, the Mustafi's going to have to come in today. But I've sometimes along the line, through things like this, a little bit of positivity can come out because I think because of the fullbacks have been injured, I feel Maitland-Niles and Saka have been absolutely outstanding. I see them, that's their future. I really do. I think someone's had a word with Maitland-Niles and saying, look, you're not really going to make it in midfield. When he was left out of the team, isolated, really. He's got back into right back. I think he's been absolutely sensational in the last couple of games. I really do. And on the other side, Sacco as well, I think that, he's played much better at left back coming on to the play than when he's been, marked and heavily marked and that. And the thing is, I think, boys, from an Arsenal point of view, is that we can't afford to spend 20, 30, 40 million pound on fullbacks. We've got other areas that are much, much important. If we can save the money and develop these two guys, we could then be able to pay the 50, 60 million for a forward, for a central defender, and also that for another midfield player. So I think that could be the positive from it all. Listen, Man United, I think I've just turned the corner. I don't know how we all feel about that, but I just feel that they've started to get a little bit more consistent, which unbelievably happens to come along and when we're playing them. But in saying that, I think what Arsenal need more than anything, obviously, is a 3 points, but a real, morale boosting, confidence 3 points, and
bit of luck.
Yeah, a little bit of luck, but against a big team, we need to do it. You know what I mean? And now if we could get that against Man United, that could be a real boost going into the new year. And we are at home. So we've, and there were signs against Chelsea. I think, to be honest, I'm going to put my head on the block here. I think Man United are a better team than Chelsea, if I'll be honest. I think that they will get into that top four within the next few weeks, regardless whether they beat us or not. But I think that we desperately need a morale boosting win, and this is the one. We don't want to go into the Leeds game with another defeat, or a draw. We need to win this one, and I'm quietly confident that we could get something from the game. I'm not saying we're going to win this one, but I think we could. The performance will be a key to how we play.
I think I'm with Max a bit in terms of just want to see a performance. That's all I want to see, is just an improvement. Doesn't bother me about the result as much, because as far as I'm concerned, we're starting again. And Man United have got some players that I think are going to hurt us, and I think Marcus Rashford is one of them. I think Dan James looks extremely quick, and Martial is always dangerous as well. Josh, would you agree that those three are kind of danger men, or is there someone else that you think will cause Arsenal problems?
Yeah, I think if I've either three of them players, the last couple of games definitely have been on top form. You look at Rashford, this is his best sort of goal scorer in the season so far. Martial seems to be playing well up top now, and Dan James he's so quick, man, and he's really good at sort of like just playing that last killer ball. The last couple of games with Rashford as well, the link up's been incredible. So I think if we are going to cause you danger, it will be one of them three today.
And if you were to say that there was going to be an Arsenal lad to cause his problems, who would you go with?
There's only one.
Yeah,
mate. To be fair, you look at your forward lineup. If Aubameyang's up there, you just know he just can score from anywhere, man, like he did before. So I think he's your danger man, especially. Our back four. Sometimes we have really good games, but there are games where sometimes we just do look a bit shaky.
Max, talk to me about Aubameyang, mate. What's going on with him, and is he going to be an Arsenal player at the end of the season, do you think?
Anyone who thinks that bloke is going to turn around and decide that he wants to stay at this club is a fucking moron, right? It's not going to happen. I'll explain to you what Aubameyang is. Aubameyang's like when you go out to a club, right, and there's a really good-looking bird, and she's really, really pissed, and you say, fantastic, we're in here. You finally get her home and you think, I have to shag her as many times as I can before she realizes that I am fucking ugly. That's what's happened with Aubameyang at Arsenal. Right? He's realized what he's done. He's realized he's drunk too much the night before, and now he wants to get away from us. And that's fine. We've got the best out of him. Right? It's time to move on from Aubameyang. He's not going to stay with us. When Real comes knocking and you're a 30-year-old elite striker and you're playing for a club who aren't going to make Europa League, you're gone. The best thing we can hope for is he's done enough with us that we can get maybe a player and £40 million for him, reinvest, and maybe break down the idea that the way that we've been investing in the team over the last, even as long as Wenger, has always been heavily attacking bias, and start investing from the back up. Right? We started with Leno. Now let's start working our way through. Let's start working our way through the midfield, through the defenders, and maybe start building forward. I'll tell you who the real key is for Arsenal over the next couple of months. It's not Aubameyang. It's Lacazette. If we can't get that boy firing, if we can't get that boy to stop being a miserable little Suki Lala and actually get him banging in goals the way he was last year, we're going to have real problems. Because Aubameyang may very well be gone, but Lacazette's on a longer contract. We may need to get him going over the next year or so and actually build around him. It's a very funny state of affairs at Arsenal at the moment. But Aubameyang, I think everyone needs to say their goodbyes now because I don't think he's long for Arsenal.
Lee, do you disagree? Do you agree? How do we get our front two working at the moment?
Well, I'd slightly disagree with Max here. I think that the key player for us over the next 2 months, 3 months is going to be Martinelli. I think he's going to be the key. We've got to get him back in the side at ASAP. But I totally agree with what Max is saying about Aubameyang. I think that, listen, from a footballing point of view, no one can blame him if he wants to leave. And it's up now to Arsenal to get the best deal. Now, if Real Madrid are come banging, then you go, right, yeah, we'll have Jovic, Ceballos as part of that deal and a little bit of money as well to reinvest. We've been mentioning as well that maybe a little cheeky little bid for Gareth Bale as well. So like, you know what I mean? Like,
really?
Three players.
Really?
Well,
Bale?
because we need someone in that wide area. I'm not saying Bale, but like, you know, if we can get a deal where we can get as much, I'm trying to squeeze as much as I can out of it. Because if you look at Aubameyang, we haven't got anybody else that's going to score goals. I cannot see us scoring a goal anywhere else on the field unless Martinelli's playing. Lacazette's goals are dried up. Reece Nelson, I thought, done exceptionally well the other day, but doesn't look like he's got a goal in him. Ozil, I thought's played very, very well the last couple of games. Doesn't look like he's going to score. So we need to say, like, you know, sometimes you rely on one man too much, and I feel that, you know, we as a team are just too dependent on one man. So what we've got to do is go back to a team situation where everybody contributes. And I'm with Max. If Real Madrid come calling, look, listen. Let's not be silly. If Aubameyang says he wants to sign, everybody's gonna be happy. But I think realistically, we know that he's not going to, and who can blame him? So we've got to get the best deal that we possibly can. So I do believe that we've got, you know, Jovic last season was absolutely outstanding for Frankfurt last year, and he's the sort of player that we're going to need because he's 2021 now. In 4 years' time. Aubameyang's not going to be banging in goals left, right, and centre because he'll be 35. So we've got to look for the future and look to rebuild. I think what we've got also to do is get in young, hungry players that want to going to play. Now, somebody like Jovic reminds me of someone like Vieira going back to the day when he's gone to a club early, hasn't quite happened, so he want to prove himself. He'll be hungry. He'll be a hungry player, and I think that's what we need now. Hungry players that are going to want to make it, not just at Arsenal, but for themselves personally as well. So that's what I would do, get in some hungry players. Wish Aubameyang all the best for the future. And, that's how I see it going, you know. I also think we've got to get Ceballos back into the side somewhere along, because we've got to get somebody scoring goals from midfield. I know that he doesn't score many, but someone along that midfield line has got to start scoring goals, you know, whether it be Willett. I've been a little bit disappointed with him the last few games.
I have.
You know,
after his cracker. Yeah, after his cracker that he scored. He's shown nothing since that. Just
dropped down a bit.
Lee, I agree with you on so many levels, but and you know, putting stuff up about Martinelli and, you know, what he means to the club. I kind of feel like all those guys are subcast players who should be in and around the team and being fed into the team over the next 2 seasons, similar to the way I see the way that Guendouzi should have been fed into the team over a couple of seasons. I mean, if I'm looking at what I really want Arsenal to do now, is I really want Arsenal, not necessarily age demographic. What I'm about to say isn't about age. It's not about experience. I think it's more just about getting players in who are going to come in and form a new leadership group. But I really want to see 3 players come into this team who are immediately going to walk into the first team. I see us as a squad that actually should theoretically have a great deal of depth, and I don't think that it's our squad players who have let us down. It's not our periphery players who have let us down. I would even say all of our periphery players this season have been really successful. It's actually our key guys, our starting guys, our starting 11 players who have let us down. And if we're going to look at investment anyway, we need to look at investment in that centre-back position. We've been saying it for so long. We need it in that defensive midfield position. And as far as all these players who are looking at going and going to other clubs, I see this as a real like burn the earth and allow it to regrow moment for Arsenal. If we're going to be this bad by the end of this season, and if we're going to finish 10th, and we're going to be out of Champions League, and we're going to be out of Europa League and everything, the only thing we can hope for is we cut out every single piece of leadership cancer out of this team and start again. So I don't actually mind about the ability of players that we're bringing in. I care more about the mentality of the players that we're bringing in, how we're going to build a leadership structure that's actually going to allow us to come back to be a real Arsenal team in the next 3 years. I almost think this isn't a 6-month plan or a 1-year plan like Arsenal fans want it to be. It's a longer term plan, and it's a serious plan for a serious board to get right and get right now. Otherwise, we could just dissipate into nothingness in the next 5 years.
I think it's. Listen, I think he's right. I think it's a massive month for Arsenal, and now the window's open. I think that we're down to bare bones in certain positions. We've needed that Upamecano centre back figure for a while. We've needed to look at the defensive midfield position, and we've been linked with quite a few players in there to replace Granit Xhaka, who we believe is going. So it's a massive month for Arsenal, without a doubt. Josh, coming to Man United again. Team news tonight. What do you think the team's going to be, mate? Can you enlighten us to any of your team news and what you think the first 11 is going to be tonight?
Yeah, I think obviously the back four I think is going to stay the same as the last couple of games. I think De Gea's going to obviously start. Hopefully Wan-Bissaka will be back in there. Lindelof, Maguire. And then I think left back's a bit of a fight really, because I'd quite like to see our young left back Brandon Williams in the last game against Burnley. I thought he was one of our best players. But
yeah, I did. Yeah,
I think Shaw probably will start. I'm not sure if McTominay's back, and for me, he's probably been our player of the season so far, to be fair.
He looks really good, doesn't he?
Yeah, do you know what? I think he just needs someone to go alongside him. Then again, Fred's been playing well lately. I've got to give him credit. So, you know, if McTominay's fit, I'd probably say him and Fred. I'd like to see Pogba back, and I think it would be a really good game today to see him back. Whether he'll start or be on the bench, we'll have to find out. But I would like to see Pogba back. And then the front three that we spoke about earlier, Rashford, Martial and James for me, that would be the starting 11 for me.
I want to come on to Pogba with you, Josh, because when he wants to be, he can be world class. But it's something about his mentality with me that just reminds me a little bit of like a Mario Balotelli, where he just throws his teddy in the corner and he just doesn't seem to want to be on the pitch at times for Man United. What do you fans think of this guy?
Yes, like you said, when Pogba's on form, he's one of the best midfield players. You know, he can create and, you know, the passes through to, you know, to cut the defence. He's, you know, all around play. He's physical. He battles. And like you said, he just has those games where he just doesn't look interested and he just looks like a sort of an average player. Whether that's because, you know, he's had enough now and he wants to move on. Like, you know, Aubameyang, does he want to go off to like Real Madrid for new challenges, you know, Champions League football? You know, the last couple of games, though, we have played well without him. So it's kind of like, you know, if he does go, you know, it's not the end of the world. And I think we can, you know, get some good players. But I would personally like to see him stay.
Yeah, is he worth the 400 mil now, Pogba, on resale?
You know, if you took the money for Pogba, there are some decent centre mids that you could get out there, I think.
Yeah. Do you know what, though, with Man United? I don't know how Josh feels about it. I feel that when they've had McTominay and Fred's really stepped up to the plate the last few games, he's played really well. And also Jesse Lingard's played really well for him over the last few games as well, especially against Spurs when they played. I was very impressed with all three of them in that midfield. But with Pogba coming back now, it puts a little bit of pressure on Solskjaer to bring him back. Sometimes when a player's injured, you ain't got that pressure. He's just going to. I don't know if he's going to be available today, is he? I think they're saying that he might not be lifted, keeping that as a bit of a smokescreen. But I think if Pogba plays today, that suit us, because I just feel that the harmony of Man United, what I've seen of Man United over the last few games, it's been about hard work, graft, and with him coming back into the side, I just think it might just unbalance him a little bit. Like, you know, even though he is a fantastic footballer, I think the harmony of the team maybe just. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
Well, I hope that as well. The thing that worries me is that I think he's been brilliant at the Emirates the last couple of seasons, Paul Pogba. He's been one of their best players, and that does worry me because I thought that he was, I said it on a podcast last week about Kante being the main man for Chelsea and Pogba being the main man for Man United. We haven't got that guy because the guy that we've got was brilliant for 35 minutes, and then Frank Lampard brought a sub on, and then he was out of the game for the rest of the game, and that took him off. So that's our player.
350 grand, huh? One small, you go from being the most dominant player on the pitch to me sitting there typing in my messenger group saying, where has this Ozil been? Where has this running been? Dummies, movement off the ball, pressing, to one change and they go and park someone on them and Ozil says, I don't fancy this. I'll tell you something that's interesting. I read an article the other day saying that Pogba is the exact opposite of Ozil and that Pogba plays well against big teams when he's got a stage and he's awful against poor teams. And Ozil has had a tendency to be terrible against big teams and quite good when he's a flat track bully.
Okay.
Good point.
Yeah, that is a good point. It would make sense. That really does make sense, actually, because Pogba does seem to turn up in the big games. I remember, was it last season or the season before when Man City basically could have won the league at Old Trafford or against Man United, and Pogba just turned up and beat him on his own.
Yeah.
It was just like, wow, where is this guy?
Top players are meant to do. It's what your top player is meant to do. He's meant to go grab a game by the scruff of the neck and go and win it for you. At Arsenal, when was the last player that we had? And I don't say Sanchez, I fucking hate Sanchez. But outside of Sanchez, the last player that we had that you can remember that genuinely kind of grabbed the team and drove the team forward and said, follow me, boys. That's what I was saying before, Lee, about not necessarily going and buying players for the now, but buying players who might end up being that kind of guy, that kind of player who's going to grab you and drag you through and make us a serious team again.
Do you know one thing with Sanchez, and people keep going on about it now, there's a bit. I thought he was fantastic, but I think he may have got a bit all through his fantastic years at Arsenal. It was always Mesut Ozil, always being sung first, Mesut Ozil, and I think he was the man. He was the man for us for 2 or 3 seasons where, as Max is dead right, he took us to places that no other player could with the drive and everything like that. And I think that he got a little bit disillusioned and, unfortunately, he decided to take the money. But a massive loss to Arsenal, someone like that, because we haven't really replaced that. So that is a natural born winner. I know that he could be a little bit petulant at times, but that's because he wanted to win all the time. I see an acceptance, not just from the players, but from the fans now. If Arsenal lose, there's an acceptance. We've got to get players in that are not going to have that. It's not a good thing to lose, even when you're training. We've got to get that mentality back.
When was the last truly great Manchester United player? To flip it on its head, when was the last great Manchester United player, mate? The last bloke that made you think this guy's going to make us win?
What, Man United?
Man United.
You'd have to go back to their title-winning team. Wayne Rooney was one of those players that could do that. Definitely.
We were speaking about this before. Yep.
Robin van Persie when he went there was outstanding but Man United are like Arsenal to a certain degree, that you can reel off play. Not one Man United player at this current team would get into their title winning teams of Alex Ferguson. When you're talking Fred McTominay, who are good players, you're talking Roy Keane. You know what I mean? Like
Paul Scholes,
Ryan Giggs. You're talking absolute quality.
But they
it
were
was just for Arsenal.
Combinations of other players were very good. And this was my thing I keep coming back to. You can't buy one player and put one player in a team. You've got to buy bunches of players. And that's what we did around that time of being invincible. And that's when we bought those players around the France World Cup winning team. And we put winners with winners. And what happens when you have winners with winners? They grow winners. And then the young kids go through learning how to win from winners.
Exactly. And that's what Man United have done as well, because Man United, like the class of 92 all come through because they was, looking at the play, for them to come through, they had Eric Cantona, one of the best players that I've ever seen.
They had Brian Robson, didn't they? Brian Robson, Steve Bruce, they had so many great players around.
But they also had players that you wouldn't think were like the top players, but, week in, week out players, and I'm talking like Dennis Irwin, you know what I mean? Like Johnson at the back as a central defender, but they were reliable. alongside these great players, they had reliability. And Man United, you cannot replace players like that. You cannot replace Roy Keane. You cannot replace, Paul Scholes, David Beckham. And they've done it to a certain degree. Ronaldo, then they replaced Beckham with Ronaldo. You know what I mean? But once you get the very, very best, how are you going to replace that? Now there's a player that going back to a Man United team that, you'd think, right, we've got Man United here. And all of a sudden, he just turned it on. I remember in the Champions League semi-final, blew us away.
It's dreadful, wasn't it? Yeah.
But Manchester United haven't got those players no more, and nor have Arsenal. And it is, this is the massive, going back, 10 years ago, these are the games, you dreamed about, Man United and Arsenal. This was what it's all like, Now they're putting it on at 8 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? It's, this would be it would be the
game of the season, wouldn't it? Normally,
do you think do you think that's a representation of poor recruitment from both Arsenal and Man U over a 10-year period, or in some ways, do you think that maybe some of these leadership-based players are becoming harder and harder to find generationally as it changes? Look at the way City have struggled with replacing Company. Now, unless you've read articles about how good Company was as a leader and how good he was around the training ground, how good he was in the community, they've massively.
I know Max has just pulled out there, but he's dead right what he said. Manchester United are never going to replace. Manchester United are never going to replace a Roy Keane. No. Patrick Vieira. Arsenal will never ever get a Patrick Vieira. Arsenal will never get a better Thierry Henry. And the same with Ronaldo. These are top players, and if you go through the course of it, to a certain degree, they've done it. Manchester United, for instance, replaced Van Nistelrooy. They replaced Cantona. They replaced, that because they had Andy Cole, players like that come through. And Arsenal done it with Ian Wright, Nicolas Anelka, Thierry Henry. But eventually it dries up, boys. The well is dry. You know what I mean? And other teams have got, and I remember my dad turning around once and saying, we don't know how lucky we are with all this lot. And we was moaning because we drew 0-0 at Portsmouth. Do you know what I mean? And
moaning because we didn't beat Spurs to win the league. We only drew 2-2.
Yeah, we did. Well, I did. I come out there moaning. But that because we didn't realise how good it was. And it's tough times now. And,
it really is.
And even worse for Man United, because the best team in Manchester now is Manchester City. You know what I mean?
Well,
because
that was going to be my question for our Manchester United man. You guys are 3-5 years further down the path than what Arsenal are. How do you guys feel running into this season and still not being a genuine top 4 prospect, even if you are close to being a top 4 prospect than us?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, looking at the money we've spent as well, compared to the likes of Liverpool, as I said before, it's all about the balance. You've got to find the right players that fit into the team. They've got to come, you've got to get the youth players as well as the experience for it to work. And I hate saying it, but Klopp's managed to nail it, last couple of seasons. Just between United and Arsenal, we're both in the same situation. We just can't get that right balance. We're not getting the right players in. We're wasting a lot of money, and I think that's where both of our clubs are going wrong at the minute.
Yeah, I have to agree, mate. I do have to agree. And Fab88 just put a great comment on there about how Liverpool are now flying through, not spending loads and loads of money. And I know they have spent money, but not at the same degree or same level. Coming to our team news. For tonight's game, I mean, we're struggling at the back, boys. We really are. I think, Leno will obviously start in goal. I hope he comes back and as his confidence hasn't been too knocked by his error. Hopefully he'll come back. And then obviously right back's a massive issue. I actually think we'll probably have to put Mustafi there or something like that because Maitland-Niles is going to have to play left back because we've got no Saka because he's out because of his knock that he picked up at Chelsea. We've got no Kolasinac, no Tierney. So we've got another left back left to play the under-23 lads. So I think we'll probably go Maitland-Niles. Say again?
Is Xhaka gone?
I don't know. I was going to come to Xhaka, but
he'll play left back. If he's around, he'll play left back. He did it last year. He'll play left back.
Maybe we'll have to do that
for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Play him.
maybe we'll have to do that then. But he's a struggle. I mean, Socrates, I think, is back from his concussion, so he'll probably partner David Luiz now that Chambers is out. I don't like that partnership at all, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, neither does Lee Judges. Look,
I've got
but
this picture of Lee in the bottom right of my screen, and it's like,
I know, mate. It is dreadful.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I think Granit Xhaka, if he does play, it will be at left back. So I think it'll be Guendouzi and Torreira. I think it'll be Mesut Ozil again, and I think the front three will probably stay the same because I don't think Martinelli's 100% fit. I know he's trained, but I don't think he'll start him. So I think he might come on. One player I do want to mention, though, who has been fantastic, if we're trying to get positive and not talk about defenders, Lee, is Lucas Torreira. The last couple of games, Lucas Torreira, for me, has been sensational. Now, the reason I feel that is because he's playing in his proper position as a defensive midfielder. And he's been doing that for Uruguay, where he's been great. He was doing it for Sampdoria, and that's why Arsenal bought him, because it was a position that we needed. Now, I saw him against Chelsea in the first 35 minutes, and I know that we all played well. I know everyone went on about Ozil, but for me, you look at what Lucas Torreira was doing there for 35 minutes, and it was spot on. Everything he broke up was sensational, and if there would be no room for Ozil to be shining without Lucas Torreira. So for me, I think he was spot on, and I think he's going to be a massively important player for us for the next few months, because that defensive midfield role has really lacked for us over the last few seasons. You know, we've not had that man in there who's going to break up the play. We've tried Guendouzi there, we've tried Xhaka there, we've tried players of the past like Francis Coquelin and Alex Song, and even Mikel Arteta were playing there for a while. Nobody for me has done the job as well as Lucas Torreira. So I'm hoping that he is the guy that we see consistently now in that position. Do you think that is, good enough for us, Max, going forward, Lucas Torreira in that DM role?
I don't like Torreira out of a DM, and I think it's one of the biggest fallacies at Arsenal Football Club that he's a DM. He's a number 8 around a more static DM, and that's why him and Xhaka, regardless of what you think about Xhaka, and anyone who listens to the Ask Brothers Rantcast knows exactly what I think about Xhaka. I don't need to use that type of colourful language on this platform, Dan. But Torreira's not a defensive midfielder. I popped something up. You and I were chatting on the Messenger group the other day, and I know not all players are fit, but the biggest problem with Arsenal has always been trying to find a midfield that makes sense. A midfield that makes sense both at size, bodies, shapes, pressure. For me, the three in Arsenal's midfield that makes the most sense right now is to play AMN in defensive midfield and let Torreira and Ceballos play off him. Put a really powerful, ground-covering, big, tall boy who's done his work at right back in there and just let him run free. But I don't know. I picked this game for a 0-0, Dan. I picked this game for a 0-0 because I thought the only thing Arteta can possibly do in this game is go hardcore Mourinho and say 2 banks of 4. Let's be really hard to break down. Let's keep the spaces really tight. Maybe try and break. It's definitely not going to be a pretty game to watch.
No, listen, you've been more optimistic than me. I really can't see us getting 3 points. I've actually gone for a loss. I think what it will be is a real kind of similar game to the last few times we've played Man United, where we kind of start to match them. I think we'll score, but I have gone for a 3-1 loss. I think it will be one of those games where we'll lose 3-1, but it won't be, the scoreline won't be that Man United absolutely battered us. I'm hoping that's the case. Lee, what prediction have you gone for tonight, mate?
I think it'd be 2-2 today.
Gone for a 2-0 draw.
Yeah, I think
the old Desmond.
Yeah, the old Desmond. I think. I honestly think because if Manchester United have vulnerabilities, it's their defence as well, as Josh said earlier on, and I just think that they're always going to score against us. Even against Chelsea the other day, you know we're not going to keep a clean sheet. But I do feel that we've got a couple of, Aubameyang will cause him all sorts of problems, and I think 2-2.
Okay, fair one. Josh, I've got to come to you, mate. What are you going for a prediction as a Man United fan?
Oh, well, depending on what United team turn up, if we play like we did the last couple of games, I'm going to say 2-1 United, but I don't know why I've just got a 1-1 draw in my mind. I don't know why. It's like last season when I came to the Emirates and, it was on paper, we were the stronger team, and you've done us over. But I can't see you beating us, but I can see a draw. Okay,
fair one. Max, I'll come to you. If you could pick one Man United fan to wear, one Man United player, should I say, to wear an Arsenal shirt this season, who would you go for, mate, and why?
Do you know what? As silly as it's going to sound, Pogba.
Okay, go on.
Pogba. All of our issues are to do with transition. All our issues are to do with athleticism. All of our issues are to do with power. Right? I honestly think if you put a player like that on the left-hand side of a 3 in midfield, that it would... And I mean, the caveat there, is that you get the right Pogba, not the wrong Pogba.
I was going to say, yeah.
The caveat there is that you get the right Pogba. But honestly, if we're missing anything, we are missing players of that physical personality, of that ability to break, of the ability to get box to box. If anything, I think Pogba and Aaron Ramsey, maybe if you were going to draw parallels, I think Pogba could do what Aaron Ramsey does or did, and Aaron Ramsey could do what Pogba did. But for us, we're so slight. We're so weak. We're so unathletic. I'm trying not to be negative, but that's where we fall down, and that's where we need to go into the transfer market. And if we can bring in players of that ilk, whether they're players not quite of that level, but of that same physical ability, let's talk players like Decore, players like Ndidi, those are the types of body shapes that I want. I don't want Guendouzi body shapes anymore. I want to go buy some men. I want to go buy some fellas who are going to fuck some shit up.
Fair one, mate. Yeah, I think you're right, buddy. I really do. I mean, my obvious choice was Harry Maguire because of our lack of defence.
That's what I got.
But I actually wouldn't mind that Scott McTominay looking at him this season. I think he could do some real sort of damage for us this season. But Lee, you going for Harry Maguire or you got someone else?
Yeah, I'd go for Harry Maguire. Rashford obviously is a player that's impressed me, but I think that if you're looking for players that we need a dominant central defender, and Harry Maguire is one of those. Yeah, that would be for me. And just talking about Aaron Ramsey, what a miss he's been for us. What an absolute joke of a decision that was. But that's another day.
It is a madness decision. It really is. Josh, same question to you, mate. If you could pick any of our amazing players in a Man United shirt,
now you've got to pick one.
You've got to pick one. You're gonna go for Mustafi, or
I'd go for Aubameyang.
Yeah,
I think he'd actually fit in quite well with United. Actually, to be fair, Aubameyang.
I think he'd fit in well anywhere, mate. To be honest, I'm surprised you didn't pick Mustafi, mate, or David Luiz.
You can have him for free. We'll drive him there.
I think if you try to offer him us on a free, I think we'd reject.
Listen, boys,
that's surprising. That is.
We are at the end of a decade, so we're going to go around quickly and pick. I did this on the last podcast, and it was quite good. A lot of people liked it. We're going to pick our player of the decade. Now, I already did mine, so I'll go first quickly. I went for Santi Cazorla just because I feel that he was a really underrated player, very consistent, could use both feet, was very technically gifted, and for us, it's been a massive loss since we've missed him. So we're going to go around and go with our player of the decade. Max, going to start with you, buddy.
Favorite player of the decade, Thomas Rosicky. Arsenal's player of the decade is Aaron Ramsey, just sheerly for the goals. Sheerly for the goals in the FA Cup.
Max, I love you. I love you.
You agreeing, Lee?
Exactly. Three FA Cups, 2 winning FA Cup finals, goals. We won 3 cups in this decade. Aaron Ramsey was, listen, Cazorla was an absolutely wonderful player. Wonderful player.
Pretty player to watch.
Brilliant player. Loved him. But for me, Aaron Ramsey, the goal against Chelsea, I still get goosebumps seeing that now, that goal. And, of course, the one against Hull, which took the monkey off our back. For me, Aaron Ramsey has been that player. And, again, this season, we've missed him more than any player, in my opinion, that we have done since Vieira.
More than we ever could have known, even for people like me who are on podcasts regularly saying, get rid, sell, hamstrings. Mate, there are things I said that if I go back and listen to them now, I retract so heavily seeing the team without him.
And the other thing is, like most of our Arsenal players, come back from an absolutely horrendous injury, but come back and still come back and done the business, which tells you a lot. So for me, definitely Aaron Ramsey.
He actually did get voted as Aaron Ramsey. He actually was the one who got it, and I think it's deservedly so. Josh, coming to you, because Cristiano Ronaldo had actually gone, hadn't he, in that decade, I believe it. It was about 2008 or 2009 that he went, wasn't it? So for this time, last 10 years, is it a pretty obvious one? Who are you going for?
For me, Potts is Wayne Rooney. All-time United top goal scorer. Also England. And you know what? He has been missed. The last couple of seasons, I was kind of like, I think he was at the end. But he was a big character. He knew how to win. So I've got to go Wayne Rooney.
For me, he scored the goal of the decade. We were talking about it earlier. The overhead kick against Man City, that for me is the goal of the decade. And I know that we look at different goals in importance. And I said earlier that you look at, if goals of importance was obviously the Aguero against QPR over the last decade. You look at goals that were pretty. We talked about the Wilshere goal at Emirates against Norwich. You look about goals that were just extraordinary, like the Giroud scorpion kick at Emirates. Stuff like that over the last decade has been exceptional. But for me, that Wayne Rooney one was just absolutely superb. So 100%. And Josh,
actual player of the decade across any team is Sergio Aguero in any team, in anyone's book, anywhere. And how he doesn't get spoken about more.
Ridiculous.
For the player, I hope he gets spoken about more once he moves. I think if he played for any other big club other than City, and it wasn't some kind of like plastic bought money club, he would be spoken about just in amazing ways. Smashing player.
Yeah, I have to agree totally. I don't understand why Aguero doesn't get the credit. I think he's never been in the team of the year. Apparently, he's never got golden boots and stuff. But for me, he's just consistently good every single season.
Not Harry Kane. Then we're not going to go. We're not saying Harry Kane. Then we're not saying that.
But Max will tell you what he thinks about Harry Kane.
Yeah, I'll tell you offline later. When people aren't listening. I think Peter Crouch was my Tottenham player of the decade.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Josh, Scunny Mike, who is regularly on Gunsy and Ribbons and on Same Old Arsenal at times, says if you buy two, you get Luiz and Kolasinac and you get Mustafi for free, mate, if you're interested. So
I think we'll pass, mate. We'll go through youth.
I'll tell you, just before we do wrap up, guys, if we got the January window open now, if you could sign one player realistically, then who would it be? Josh, we'll start with you as a Man United fan, mate.
Oh, that's a tough one, mate. For us now, United, I think it all depends on the Pogba situation. If he's going to go, we need a new centre midfield player. I don't know who that's going to be, to be honest. But I think that's where we need to look at. But if Aubameyang came up for sale, I'd take him. Definitely take him.
Bye, Josh.
Not spare 70 mil, Josh. You can have it.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Judges, coming to you. Who would you go for?
Upamecano.
Okay, you go for Upamecano. And Max, likewise.
Mate, any centre back. just any centre back. I mean, Upamecano, I'm not going to say I've watched a huge amount of his football. I've been watching his highlights reel, but then again, I watched Sanogo's highlights reel and I thought he was the business as well. So just for the sake of anything, Upamecano or any other world-class centre-back that we can possibly get. But can I just put a caveat on this? What I do not want Arsenal to do is panic buy in January. I would rather eat shit for the rest of the season and make smart buys in the summer than buy shit now for the sake of buying them and panicking them.
Yeah, I don't want to panic buy. We did that. We've done that too many times and it's failed for us. I think if I was to go for anyone, it would be Upamecano. I'd like to see us try and get William Saliba back in January because I think we've got two centre-backs there that could form a partnership. I don't know the likelihood of that. I don't know if it's going to cost us any more money if we get him back from St Etienne, but I think we need to do it. And also, I do still believe we need some presence in defensive midfield. So if it's not going to be an Ndidi or somebody like that, then for me, I'd like to see somebody like Thomas Partey from Atletico Madrid or maybe Decore from Watford. I know he's a bit more of a box-to-box, but somebody with presence would be really great for me to slot next to Torreira. And then obviously Torreira can get some cover and hopefully blossom into an even better player. So that for me would be what I'd like to see in January. And then who knows, we could turn into a different Arsenal. I still don't think we're going to be good enough for Europe this season. But there we go. Boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Lee, thank you as always, mate.
No worries. Enjoyed it.
I'll see you tonight, mate. If you're going for a drink, I'll meet you up in a pub and we shall talk more Arsenal there, mate.
No problem.
Max, I hope you don't get burnt, mate. I hope it's all good over in
good luck with that, Max. Good luck.
It's fucking on fire, mate. I'll tell you that much.
What is it over there degrees-wise now? What are you on now? About 160 degrees?
Today was 41 degrees, mate. 41 degrees. That's why the state's on fire at the moment. Bone dry and 41.
Max, how can everybody contact you on social media to hear some more of your madness?
Mate, we're at Ask Bros Rant. I've been very, very subdued tonight. So if you are going to listen to Ask Brothers Rantcast, just keep in mind It's an adult channel, a late night channel, and we say some horrible shit. But the football content is there, and that's all that matters. We're at Ask Bros Rant on Twitter and Facebook. You can find us on Spotify, SoundCloud. We attempted to do some live broadcasts last week. Dan was on it, but I was shit-faced, and it barely went to air. But follow us, listen to us, mate. Do whatever you need to do. Dan, I look forward to having you on the channel soon.
Mate, absolutely. And I'm sure Mr. Lee Judges will come on at one stage as well, because that'll be some good fun.
We'll get some pints into him.
No,
Yeah, that's it. Well, half pints, isn't it, Lee? It's only half pints.
Only half.
Josh, mate, thank you. I know it's always hard to come on as an opposite fan, mate, but you've been great. Really appreciate you coming on, mate.
Short man.
Cheers, Josh.
Cheers for having us on, guys.
You got your Twitter handle there, mate. So please go and follow Josh. All you Man United fans, I know some of you do listen to this, so go and follow Josh on Twitter. Boys, I hope it is a good game. I hope it's not a boring 0-0 like Max says. I hope we do get an Arsenal win, but I think I'm being very, very wishful thinking there. But we shall see. Happy New Year to everybody. Same Old Arsenal is back on Tuesday the 7th of January, so please make sure you tune in around about 7 or 7:30, but you'll see that advertised on social media. And I'll be doing another Pots preview for our next game, which will actually be at the weekend on Sunday, which will be a Leeds Pots preview. So we're going to get a Leeds fan on, and old man Trev from Guns and Yellow Ribbons is going to be joining me as well.
The old man is back.
The old man is back. He is back tonight as well, Lee. So we may come and join you for a beer. So yeah, I will see you all soon, guys, and thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Up the Arsenal.
Cheers, Dan.
Cheers, Potsy.